Let's move on to Vikings Seahawks. Vikings Seahawks. This is the Sunday nighter. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, there's been a lot of talk, and this is why we don't dwell on the weather on Tuesday. A lot of talk about rain, showers, but the showers are all day, and the chance of precipitation drops throughout the whole game. It just keeps dropping. So showers, it's supposed to start the game with still entitled showers, but let's not jump on this whole idea that it's going to be, showers throughout the game. I don't believe that's going to be the case here. Oh, this was very interesting. So Bebsy and I both jumped on the team total over full game on the Vikings at 23.5. I jumped on the first half team total over 10.5. On Friday, and I meant to say it during Betting with the Bag to Dennis Garcia, who's writes for odds and he's in our chat. I was going to say I was right. The first half team total had moved up to 12.5. It's subsequently dropped back to 10.5. And if Bebsy and I had have waited on the team total, we would have got a better line. We paid a lot of juice for this team total. We paid minus 138. It's back to minus 120 each side. Not only that, but the Seahawks team total since that drop has since Friday. So the team total since Friday in 48 hours has gone from 33.5 down to 31.5. Not only that, but this team total at 31.5 that's dropped 2 points to 33.5 is now juiced towards the under. So clearly, and I'll check out, see what it's saying, but clearly right now, money's coming in on this under. And it's another situation like we have with the Giants-Cowboys game. We have 55% of money on the under, but 66% of tickets on the over. So there have been some big bets placed on this under Vikings Seahawks. Before we break down all the stats and talk about the stats, what do you think, Bebsy, of this market move towards the under in Vikings Seahawks?
I don't get it. I just see two teams that can't keep the ball out of their own end zone and have a very easy time putting it in the other's end zone. I don't see that move. I still like the over in a season where overs are hitting like crazy, and both of these defenses are horrendous, and both of these offenses have shown they can put up points. This is still an overplay for me. I don't get the market move here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chris Brady says not in love with it, but I'm on the Seattle game under 57. Happy to look at that 55 and 54.5. This market move, by the way, let's just grab it here, is just falling as we speak. So let me move over to total here. Sorry, here we go. So at midnight, it was 57. And yesterday at 2:30, it was 57.5. So midnight, it's 57. 3 in the morning, it moves to 56. 11 this morning, so an hour ago, moves to 55.5, then 54.5. These are big late moves, and I really think if it's, it can't just be based on weather because, as I said, the precipitation percentages drops and drops and drops throughout the game. Pepper says both defenses are garbage. If there's weather problems, that tends to have turnovers, which mean better field position to score. And Steve Priest says Vikings Seahawks over 54.5, huge. And Dennis Garcia says, I meant what I said Tuesday. Minnesota first half team total should be 9. Yeah, he said that 10.5 was too high. And then Dennis, it went to 12.5. And I was like, oh, I'm going to show Dennis. Birdie agrees, says, I agree, Dennis. I don't think you can bet on Cousins to show up on primetime. I lean more towards Cousins struggling in this one. Lance LaRose giving us a final score of 27-20. Vikings did get their first win last week, 31-23 at Houston. They have the league's leading rusher in Dalvin Cook, 424 yards rushing, averaging 5.7 yards per carry, facing a Seattle defense that ranks third in the league in yards rushing allowed. And
Steve Priest makes a good point. The rain isn't as bad in Seattle. It's actually more cloudy. In general, you don't get like crazy storms in Seattle. You get drizzle. You get Jimmy used to live in Vancouver. You know what that climate is like. It doesn't pour there. It just kind of rains. So I don't think that's a huge factor, to be honest with you.
Seattle has a chance to go 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. Wilson has tied Manning's record with 16 TD passes in his first 4 games. He's completing 75% of his passes. He has 16 completions of more than 20 yards. He's averaging 9.4 yards per attempt. The Seahawks elevated Demarius Randall from their practice squad. Some people thought that Snacks might get off this practice squad. He's not. So they've elevated their safety, Demarius Randall. So Jamal Adams is out. Lano Hill is questionable. They're the 2 safeties.
Look, even if they're at full strength, they're a bad defense. That's the thing, is the Seattle team's a bit of a mirage right now because everyone's super high on them for a start. Wilson looks incredible, but we all saw what happened. We all knew that Russell Wilson was going to come out firing. They just do not have a defense. So when they come up against a balanced team, which they have not yet, Seattle's going to have problems. So for that, I think people got to relax a little bit on the Seahawks love, but I mean this week it's just 2 offenses that can move the ball going up against 2 defenses that cannot stop anything. So screams over to me still, even with Cousins' Monday night woes, we'll say, but I still love this a lot. I still very confident in the Vikings team total over. I think that's an easy hit against this injured but already terrible Seattle defense, even when they're not injured. Demarius Randall, I mean, as far as pulling a guy off the practice squad, that's a decent name to be pulling off the practice squad. But again, it's a guy on a practice squad of an awful defense. So what's he going to do? If he wasn't good enough to make this already terrible defense without injury, then who cares?
Yeah, no, it's a good point.